Welcome back to season 2 of the Katie Wellness Show. I am back with more amazing tools, awesome interviews, and some great discussions to help you optimize your health, body, mind, and spirit. Not only can you use these tools every day, you can also teach them to your children and to your family members so that you can raise emotionally and physically resilient children, so that you can show up more in your life, that you can take back your personal power. Get ready to tap into your intuition. I'm so excited that you're here. You are worthy of health and of joy and of thriving in your motherhood, thriving in your life. Thank you for being here today. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode. Sorry, I'm a couple days late in uploading this episode, but today we're going to talk about mold exposure, mold detox, how we are exposed to it, what it looks like if we are exposed, and how do we get it out. Mold is a living organism and it will protect itself at all costs. When mold feels threatened, it responds in a way similar to if you were to pick a white puffy dandelion and blow that dandelion, the mold responds in a similar way of all of those tiny little mycotoxins being released. When mold feels threatened, it releases thousands of those mycotoxins. And those mycotoxins get absorbed into our bodies through our skin and through our breath. Mycotoxins in the body can be incredibly damaging to the cells. And the symptoms are really sneaky and tricky. The cell damage can be camouflaged as many things, and it may start as headaches, body aches, anxiety. Allergy type symptoms obviously is one that's kind of more common, but we can also be affected through our gut dysfunction, poor absorption, and even infertility. So the mold is sneaky and it's tricky to completely diagnose. So what I'm sharing is based on my own personal experience, having gone through this at least in 2 different homes, but also on the research that I've done with a holistic perspective. How do we treat our bodies? How do we treat the environment? How do we get rid of it from our bodies and from our homes and support our bodies so our cells are healthy again? So this is not only based on just my experience, but also the research that I've done. And there are 2 really amazing resources that have helped me in both of these processes. One of them is the hair scan. This is a service that I offer, and mold is one of the things that it tests for. It can show you if mold is negatively impacting your cellular health. And it can also give you specific nutrients that your body needs in order to rebuild and repair from the damage. And also, if your body systems are not detoxing properly, we can get a plan in place for helping your body to get rid of the mold and also your cells to have the nutritional support or the supplement support that they need in order to get back to functioning properly. The second resource that I used was a book called Break the Mold: 5 Tools to Conquer Mold and Take Back Your Health. This book is by Dr. Jill Krista, and I will link it in the show notes. Dr. Jill is a naturopathic doctor, so a lot of her perspective is very similar to mine. And I will say this, with any resource or with any in-depth guide like this book, this Break the Mold book, it was very in-depth. And if I tried to do everything that she suggested in this book, I would have gone crazy. It is a lot. It is very comprehensive. And so for me, as I was going through both of these different experiences with mold in my house and mold in my body and needing it remediated, I had to focus on what I could control. As with anything, take what works, what you feel is doable, what is standing out to you, lean into that intuition and focus on what you can, because really that's your body telling you what you can focus on or what you can do, what your body needs to feel better, and leave the rest. So we are exposed to mold through our food. Bulk type grains like wheat, oats, rice, coffee is one of those common offenders that maybe a lot of people don't know about. and through our spices. We are also exposed to mold through our homes, especially water leaks and also our building practices, like I mentioned earlier. So, what are ways that we can get mold out of our bodies? There are a couple of different ways. Let's talk about them. Liver detox. Glutathione is one of the master detoxers, and you can get this through supplement form. You can also help your body to generate it on its own through coffee enemas, being sure to use organic and mold tested, right? Because coffee is one of those where we can commonly be exposed to mold. And castor oil packs are another great way to help support your liver detox. We can detox through food using cruciferous vegetables. Foods that are high in pectin can kind of act as a binder. Mold spores are very sticky. They want to stick to your cells. And as soon as they start sticking to your cells, they're going to start breaking down your cells. We want to give those mold spores something else to stick to that will leave our bodies. So having a binder, foods high in pectin are a great way. You also want to support your body by adding antioxidants. Foods high in antioxidants like dark leafy greens, dark berries, and fish. And other options for binders are activated charcoal, clays, probiotics. There are a couple of binders that I have used before through CellCore Biosciences that I really, really like. I can link those down in the show notes below. So once the mold spores have been bound to the binders, bound to something other than your cells, you need to get it out as quick as possible. So that's why I recommend the coffee enemas. That is one way that we detox things out. Another way is through sweat, through exercise or sauna. These are two of our major detox pathways. Other supplements that help for cell repair, if the mold has been damaging your cells, if you've been exposed to it for a long time, you want to get an NAC supplement and omega-3s supplement. But the detoxing won't do any good. Any of what I listed above helps to get it out, but it doesn't fix the problem if you're not fixing the exposure. Let's talk a little bit about mold remediation, getting the mold completely out of the environment. So if we are being exposed through food, how can you find alternatives that are mold tested, especially when it comes to coffee? There are companies that do specific mold testing, but when it comes to the grains, are there ways that you can be more proactive in storing your grains in a way that it's not going to perpetuate the mold cycle? I use an ozone bubbler through Therasage, and I can link that below to bubble my rice. This will help get rid of the mold spores on the grains as well. So that is another tool that you can have in your toolbox to help have a more healthy home. If you are being exposed to mold through your environment, through your home, we need to talk remediation. You can use air filters. The air filter that I use in my family is the Air Doctor, and this is not sponsored, so I don't have a coupon code, but there are many other people out there who do. So find a coupon code, or in my experience, the Air Doctor filters down to mold spore size, like 0.00. I would have to look it up exactly, but microns. 0.001 microns. So very, very tiny, enough to capture the mold spores. Opening windows can help the mold spores to not be stagnant. And dehumidifiers can also be beneficial if you live in a high humidity environment. And just know that if there has ever been water damage in your home, you can almost guarantee that there's mold growing in the drywall, in the studs, in the cabinetry, in the floor. And bleach will not kill mold. And bleach is also a neurotoxin. So if you're using it, know that bleach has pretty severe negative health effects. That's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day. But hydrogen peroxide is great for killing mold. And one of the other benefits is when you spray hydrogen peroxide on the mold spores, because mold is a living agent, it will start to bubble. Wherever the mold is still alive and active, the hydrogen peroxide will bubble and it will show you exactly where you need to concentrate your efforts. In my experience in my kitchen, when we were remediating, we would spray on the hydrogen peroxide, and there were certain areas that no matter how many times we sprayed and we'd let it dry and we'd spray and we'd let it dry, there was still bubbles. So we had to be more aggressive and get a scrubber and scrub some of that. My husband and I are very much DIY, like self-sufficient. We want to do it ourselves. And because I am very susceptible to mold and mycotoxins, if you've listened to any of my previous episode, especially the one where I talk about my health journey from debilitating illness to where I'm at today, to thriving and to feeling well and to having the tools that I need to help my body heal, mold is a big part of my story, mold toxicity. And I knew that I had to be incredibly careful when we were working with the mold. So if this is a route that you choose to remediate on your own, you have to protect yourself. Whether you are sensitive to mold or not, protect yourself. Wear a respirator mask, gloves. I wore a Tyvek suit, goggles. I did everything that I could to protect myself. And we did everything we could to protect our home. We fully blocked off the area from ceiling to floor. Because we have such an open floor plan, it was very much a contain the situation rather than completely abandon the home. In the book that I suggested, The Break the Mold, she talks about completely leaving your home and replacing all of your, like once you've remediated, then replace your furniture, especially anything that can absorb that. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. That was too overwhelming for me to think about replacing every item in my home that has ever been exposed to mold because we have such an open floor plan. But we did absolutely everything that we could to completely block off the area from floor to ceiling. And anytime we accessed the area, we went through a window to get there. So we weren't constantly opening the plastic and going in and then coming out. So we tried to contain it the best that we could from floor to ceiling. And anytime we went in the area, we were wearing a respirator mask, gloves, suit, goggles. You definitely don't want to let those mycotoxins spread to the rest of your home. And you want to ventilate the area. So like I said, we went in and out through a window that we pretty much always kept that window open. And luckily we lived in an area where it wasn't freezing and it wasn't too incredibly hot during that time. So in that regard, we were blessed that we were able to keep the windows open. We also had a heater in there to make sure everything was drying between sprays. But when we put a fan in there, you want to blow the air out. So any mold spores that are still there are being blown out. And the dehumidifier, like I said, getting the moisture levels in the area to be less than 50%. Once we completed all the mold remediation, once we took down the drywall and the insulation, we disposed of it properly and treated the area with the hydrogen peroxide and hypochlorous acid. So that's another chemical that we used. It's a more natural chemical. It is something that is produced by our bodies, so our bodies know how to handle it. But it is a disinfectant that works similar to bleach without the toxic side effects. So we use the hydrogen peroxide, the 12%, and the hypochlorous acid. Anytime we went in there, we had masks, gloves, Tyvek suits. I cannot stress the importance of this enough because the mycotoxins are absorbed through your skin. Your skin is your biggest organ in your body. So we were for sure to protect our skin and our lungs, our breathing, making sure we weren't re-exposing ourselves every time we went into this space. Once we had the area remediated, that's when we brought in the air purifiers. So any mold, any mycotoxins that were in the air, we had it filtered out through, like I said, we use the air doctors, and I've been really, really happy with those. If mold exposure and mold toxicity is something that you're dealing with, I just want to offer you hope that there are tools that you can use to remediate the area, but also to detox your body. There is help and there is hope, and I want to be that for you. Like I said, the hair scan is probably one of the best tools that I've found to test for, to know if mold is affecting your cellular health. There is a lot that blood tests can tell us, but I haven't found a blood test that can predict as accurately as the hair scan to know if your body is being negatively affected by the mold. And also, the hair scan will give you the specific nutrients that you need and help you to know which body systems need more support. So that you can return to optimal health, so you can support your cells in getting back to healthy instead of being exposed or being damaged by the mold and by the mycotoxins. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are dealing with mold exposure or needing help detoxing or knowing how to support your body through any of this, please reach out. There is a contact me link in the show notes below. I would love to help you more. If you are ready to do the test, there are virtual options. I can send you a hair scan kit. You collect the sample and then you send it back. And then we go over the 30-page report together and get a protocol ready for you to know how you can better support your body. This is such an amazing tool and amazing resource, and I highly recommend it for anyone who is going through a health challenges, especially ones that are unexplained, especially if you've been to doctor after doctor and you feel like they're just gaslighting you or just only offering prescriptions as a way to quote unquote heal your body. If all of your blood tests come back and everything looks quote unquote normal, but you absolutely don't feel normal, the hair scan is an amazing resource. So check down in the show notes if you are wanting to get on my schedule, and I want to help you. I want to offer that hope and that help that is available. If you have any other questions about specifics of things that I talked about, tools that I talked about, or supplements that I use, reach out and I would be happy to share those with you. Thank you for joining me again this week, and I hope to talk to you soon.